This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Reed Gregory.
And I'm Zoe Jones. There was a scary moment today for a 17-year-old driver as they were involved in a rollover crash in Stearns County.
The incident took place near County Road 32 in Zion Township at approximately 8:49 a.m. According to reports from the scene, the teen's Chevy Impala was headed northbound on County Road 33 when it veered off the road, entered the ditch, and rolled. The driver is identified as 17-year-old Trevor James Blonigen from Freeport, Minnesota. He was the sole occupant of the vehicle.
The driver suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Emergency responders from St. Martin Fire and Rescue arrived at the scene to provide assistance. He was then transported to the hospital for medical evaluation and treatment. His injuries were reported to be non-critical and no alcohol involvement was suspected in the crash.
And one man was arrested for aggravated assault in Alexandria, Minnesota in the early hours of Sunday morning. According to police, Alexandria Police and North Memorial Ambulance responded to the report of a disturbance at an apartment complex in the 1900 block of Aga Drive at 1:47 a.m.
Upon arrival, officers learned of a 30-year-old adult male who had been stabbed. No weapon was recovered at the scene. Police say the victim was transported by ambulance to a hospital in Alexandria. The suspect, 34-year-old Mohammed Jama, was arrested and is in custody for second-degree assault and obstructing legal process, awaiting an initial court appearance. The case is still under investigation.
Now let's switch gears and check in with First Alert Storm Team's Shelby Ebertowski for a look at our forecast. Shelby?
Well, Zoe and Reed, some areas are still having some slightly breezy winds and some showers, but up in Grand Forks, we have those calmer conditions here, and with those satellite and radar, we're still tracking some showers. Now, we're tracking two specific areas. One of them is just going into the Devil's Lake Basin, producing some lightning. However, it's moving to the northeast relatively quickly at 45 miles an hour. Now, this will continue to move through the rest of the valleys we had throughout the overnight hours, but we also have one that is finally leaving the North Dakota, Minnesota area. Now, it is above the international border now, but it was continuing to move around 55 miles an hour with temperatures still sitting in those 50s, 56 in Bemidji, 58 in Minot, 59 in Bismarck, but we still have a few of us like Detroit Lakes at 61 and Grand Forks at 62, but we also have a significant temperature change in areas like Bemidji and Detroit Lakes, where earlier today here in Fargo, we were 25 degrees cooler than what we were yesterday. But guys, we do have a heat up arriving later this week, and I'll have that full forecast for you coming up in a few moments.
All right, thank you so much, Shelby. Well, we've been closely following North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's presidential campaign since he announced that he was running. On today's edition of Meet the Press, he spoke about taking the debate stage this week.
Burgum says he's excited to be on the stage and even acknowledged that he's probably the least known candidate in the entire debate. However, he said his plan for his campaign is to focus on sharing how things are done here in the state of North Dakota.
Any organization I've been involved with, it starts with a leader that you can trust, that's got the character and the integrity, the proven track record of being able to do that. And that's what I've done my whole life in every organization I've been, but people don't know that yet. So we absolutely are going to leave that to this whole industry. We've got to focus on telling our story and telling the story of what we've been able to get done in North Dakota.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz also joined the show to discuss the Republican presidential field, as well as President Joe Biden's unpopularity amongst voters.
Now, Walz said he believes Donald Trump and the Republican Party have poisoned politics for people, saying, quote, "No one trusts our institutions, no one trusts Congress, and no one trusts any of us," which is why he believes after Wednesday's debate, people will have very different opinions.
I think folks are just tired of it all, but the fact of the matter is this isn't about Joe Biden's age. This is about the democracy, and as we get closer to the election, they'll see that. I'm telling you, after Wednesday and whatever transpires, the craziness on that stage, people start to understand this as we get closer.
Again, the first Republican GOP debate is set for Wednesday in Milwaukee.
And there's no debate about this. As of now, the Republican Party would easily renominate Donald Trump in 2024, and it's not close. The former president now holds his largest lead over his rivals, and in our polling and his recent legal troubles, in fact, most of his voters are actually saying they're showing him more support. His nearest but not too near rival, Ron DeSantis, has fallen even further back. Everyone else is in single digits.
Now, despite his major lead, former President Donald Trump confirmed today that he will not participate in the first Republican presidential debate. Trump confirmed his decision on his social media platform, Truth Social. He said the public knows who he is and knows of his accomplishments as president, and therefore he will not participate in the debates.
An advisor for Trump said the former president could still decide to participate at a later date in a later primary debate, despite his post on Truth Social. A second debate is set for September 27th at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California.
Also, don't forget, Attorney General Merrick Garland will meet with law enforcement officials tomorrow morning here in Fargo. The Attorney General will visit the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of North Dakota and meet with federal, state, and local law enforcement leaders. The last time a sitting Attorney General was in Fargo was in 2018 to discuss a large drug bust. We will be sure to bring you live coverage tomorrow right here on Valley News Live.
And about 300 evacuees went to a federal resource fair on the island of Maui today. U.S. Representative Jill Tokuda helped to organize the event and says the goal was to expedite the process for those who have lost personal documents in the wildfires. Attendees were able to sign up for assistance with getting their passport and social security cards replaced, as well as apply for food and feeding programs such as SNAP. Veterans Affairs and the Department of Housing and Urban Development were also present. Organizations include the Hawaii Community Foundation, the Maui Food Bank, as well as the American Red Cross, who are also accepting donations to help all those impacted by the wildfires. Remains of some of the people who passed in the fires will never be recovered. That's according to Hawaii Governor Josh Green.
More than 1,000 are unaccounted for, about 1,050. It will take several weeks still. Some of the challenges are going to be extraordinary because of the temperature of the fire. The remains of those who have died in some cases may be impossible to recover meaningfully. So there are going to be people that are lost forever.
Green says it will take several weeks to locate all who are unaccounted for, even as they have, quote, an army of search and rescue teams currently out looking. According to Green, authorities in Hawaii are working with the FBI and officials on the ground to assess who's missing.
Now to Canada, where major evacuations are underway in British Columbia and the Northwest Territories as more than 200 wildfires are burning across that part of the country. These images came to us from Max Standen. He runs 2 boat rental companies at one of the lakes up there. He sent some of his boats to West Kelowna to help residents escape the raging wildfires on Friday. Standen says some residents also used kayaks to get away from the flames while others swam across the lake. Strong winds fanned the flames on Friday, but Standen says the wind has calmed down significantly on Saturday. Canada's armed forces are helping battle the fires and fly people to safety in the Northwest Territories.
A shooting in Milwaukee on Saturday night is now being considered a mass shooting after it left 9 people injured. Milwaukee police say the victims range in age from 16 to 42 and are all expected to survive. The shooting is under investigation and no arrests have been made.
It's been a sad few days for caretakers at the Sea Aquarium in Virginia Key, Florida. One of the aquarium's beloved attractions, a killer whale named Lolita, also known as Toki, died on Friday from a kidney condition. The 57-year-old orca lived at the Sea Aquarium for 53 years after she was captured. She performed with trainers for decades, but she retired last year.
Animal rights activists had advocated for her release back into the ocean for years. Members wanted to see Toki return to her native habitat in the Pacific Northwest. The Sea Aquarium said in March that Lolita was going to be released back in the ocean. However, officials say she began to show signs of stomach problems last month. Medical teams from the aquarium and friends of Toki treated her before she passed.
The Fargo, North Dakota Little League Baseball, representing the Peace Garden State, wrapped up their time in Williamsport, Pennsylvania today with a hard-fought 7-1 loss at the hands of the Mountain Region champs Henderson, Nevada. The team went 0-2 in the final tournament, falling to the Southwest team a couple days ago before today's game.
Now, Fargo is the first ever North Dakota team to even make the Little League World Series, so major hats off and congratulations to that team for their huge success.
Absolutely.
And later on Valley News Live at 10, in the wake of the Maui wildfires, one large toy manufacturer is doing what they can to provide aid. Details after the break.
And over the next week, tomorrow we have those morning showers in the Northern Valley, but still warmer and cloudy in the south, with some damaging and potentially dangerous heat indexes for Tuesday and Wednesday, with cooling temperatures back down and possible rain showers later in the week. You'll have your full forecast coming up next.